What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going over a part that we got for my 2020 s1000rr today. It is some more bling. It's not necessarily a performance part, but it is going to look awesome on this bike. I'm basically done with modding everything that I want to do on this bike for the most part. It's coming out great and it's an awesome bike to have. So let's get right into it. So before I open this up, I just want to give a shout out to the guy that I got these parts from. Beautiful packing and good shipping as well. His YouTube and Instagram is Monte, that's MONTE_223. Alright guys, so here they are, the blue M calipers. I mean, honestly, they're going to work probably exactly the same as the black ones, but I just love the blue color. I've always loved blue bikes in general, and now that we have these blue M accessories, we had 5 horsepower, right? Well, really, not really, but you get the point. It's just all for bling, like I said earlier, and it's going to look awesome on here. I can't wait to get it installed. Alright, so we're going to start the caliper swap. These 2 bolts are a T50. You pull out the caliper, be very careful not to touch your rim. When you take out the calipers, the brake pads are fairly easy to get out. All you got to do is they push up in here. You have to literally just push them out. It's best to push the pistons in so that it's easier to install when you put it back on the disc. Just look at the difference. It looks so much better, especially with the color scheme of the M Sport. So get your caliper on. Since the pads were, or the pistons were compressed all the way in, after we put the pads, we had plenty of room to get it on nice and neat. Make sure to be careful not to scratch your rim. The dealer must have nicked it just a tiny bit when they put the updated calipers on, because that was not there. Either way, just make these hand tight for now. Then you're going to get a 12 millimeter. I would take this off first because you're probably going to have to use a socket, loosen it up, and as quickly as possible, and be careful not to get brake fluid on your rims, especially if they're carbon. Make sure it's supposed to go copper washer, and you got the brake line and then the copper washer, so don't forget to do that. To get the 12 millimeter on here, just take this little rubber piece off. When I was swapping out the brake line, I had this rag over here to cover as much as I could, including the disc. I kind of just put it back to show you, but obviously you don't want brake fluid on the disc and or the rim. The torque spec for the banjo bolt is 24 newton meters or 17.7 foot-pounds. Next, tighten your caliper bolts, 38 newton meters or 28 foot-pounds. Next, for the clutch lever side, first undo this little black thing that's on the brake line, like so. If I can move it out of the way. All right. Then next, what I did was I loosened this up because it's easier to loosen it when it's on the caliper and it's in place. Just crack it and then tighten it up snug so it doesn't leak. Then after that, you have to take out the 2 caliper bolts, move this out of the way, and slowly but safely take off your caliper. All right, we're back in the garage because it was getting kind of hot out. Obviously, we have our caliper mounted. We torqued our bolts. Banjo bolt is torqued. We put the little cover back on the bleeder valve, and now she's basically good to go. Obviously, you're going to have to bleed your brakes when you do this. A vacuum one is very easy to use, and you can get them for pretty cheap. I would suggest doing the left side first. Make sure you have no bubbles when you're doing it. Then do the right side, and then do the master cylinder up top. Anytime you're bleeding these things, you have to make sure that your master cylinder is nice and full. Got myself some more brake fluid, and even though I had some in here and it wasn't really past where the entrance to this was, I just couldn't get pressure. But once I filled it up more, I started getting nice pressure. You really don't need too much, but obviously enough to fill it up, and make sure you bleed both sides correctly. And this is the last one that you bleed that I was talking about. After you're all done bleeding, obviously make sure your thing is topped off to the max line, and check for the lever to make sure it's nice and stiff. Obviously after you do that, make sure you go for a small little test ride just down the street to make sure everything's working. Depending on how old your bike is, you may have to, run the ABS pump and bleed it that way. But I think we're good because it just did it. And when I swapped over the banjo bolt to the caliper, it was very quick. And I think I sucked out all the air, so we should be okay. If when I'm riding it, for some reason, it does lose pressure, then I know that obviously I have to bleed it with the ABS pump and, using a GS911 or some sort. But alright guys, that's going to do it for the video. I just love these calipers. I think they look great. It's a shame that they didn't come on this 2020 model. I know they come on the newer BMW s1000rr M Sports and obviously the M1000rr. But yeah, I just love that bling. So maybe I'll get the rear caliper in blue. I know they have one. I don't know. I got to see. But I definitely wanted to get it for the front for sure. I got a good price on these things, thank God. Because I wasn't going to pay what the dealer was actually, asking for. Luckily, I found someone parting out a bike, and I got the calipers for a pretty good price. Alright guys, so we'll see you in the next video. Spoiler alert, if you actually followed this far, I did pick up another Project S1000rr, so stay tuned to see that.